By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what it takes to expose a narcissist. And be sure to stay tuned till the end of the video. The last point is by far the most powerful. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tamie M. Joyce. I'm the founder of Tamie M Coaching and the creator of the Freedom class and the Ascension class. Please take a second to say hello and introduce yourself in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. So let's talk about how to expose a narcissist to others. Few things are more painful and frustrating than having to deal with a destructive narcissist, whether that be in your personal or your professional life. And certainly, there's a lot of reasons for that, not least of which being the fact that narcissists are indeed master manipulators, as well as being adept at lying. They lie with tremendous ease. In addition, they have the ability to wear a mask and play a role at will. They play to their audience depending on what their agenda is at the time. In fact, it's quite possible that you're actually the only one who knows what the narcissistic individual is truly capable of. They can walk out into the world and put on such an incredible performance, whether that be with family and relatives, friends, colleagues, or neighbors for that matter. And it seems that everyone else is convinced that the narcissist is a wonderful human being. And I get it. It can be incredibly frustrating when other people don't see what you see because they haven't experienced what you've experienced. And what's worse is someone who lands on the spectrum of destructive narcissism can put on such a convincing act over such an extended period of time that we end up looking like the crazy one in the dynamic. Because of the trauma we've experienced and the pain that we carry, and due to the fact that we've been on the receiving end of what is fully mind-bending, crazy-making, deeply hurtful, soul-destroying attitudes and behavior, we're being or have been targeted, exploited, and or outright abused by an individual who is not only highly manipulative and deceptive, but also empathy impaired, if not lacking in conscience entirely. So naturally, we have what are actually quite legitimate emotional reactions and responses to being harmed in all of the ways that a narcissist can cause harm. But the sad truth is, the more we react, the more we lash out, the more they are believed. That's right. The more we try to convince others of our innocence and their guilt, the more guilty we look and the more innocent they appear. And that in itself can be one of the most gaslighting experiences we can have. And all we want is to be seen and heard and understood. All we need is to have the truth of our experience validated. So naturally, we would want to expose the narcissist for who and what they are when no one else seems to be able to see it. And no one else sees it because narcissists are, again, not only master manipulators, but they are liars. They live their lives on a mountain of lies, and they know their audience. They know exactly who they're playing to. And they'll select a specific target, sometimes more than one, but typically in a highly narcissistic or dysfunctional family, they'll choose a scapegoat. And I know of what I speak because I was that scapegoat in my dysfunctional family system. And I know many of you can relate as well. Within that sick, dysfunctional family system, there is an unconscious agreement that says it's okay to target this one individual. It's okay to undermine, sabotage, attack, gossip, lie about, lie to, hurt, and harm this one person. Furthermore, it's okay to do this covertly while pretending to onlookers that they're on our team or in our corner, when in reality, nothing could be further from the truth. And the thing about being cast as the family scapegoat in a sick family system at a very young age is we carry all of that programming into our adult lives. While we're doing the best we can trying to navigate our way through some seriously unconscious madness in terms of the environments we find ourselves in. And if only someone could just see this person or these people for who they really are, for who they truly are, I might feel some relief. And I can tell you, in my own experience, the more I worked to explain myself, to defend myself, to scream from the rooftops that that's not true, when they're accusing me of all the things that they in reality are doing or have done, the more I worked to be seen and heard and understood, the crazier I appeared. And truth be told, to some degree, the crazier I became because life had become such a gaslighting experience across the board. Painful stuff. And something else to note is, when you're trying to explain to people who have never experienced narcissistic abuse, they are not going to get it. They aren't going to understand. The likelihood that they are going to be able to empathize with you and your plight is slim to none. Most people cannot fathom that others can have such a Jekyll and Hyde personality, or even that people can be this kind of cruel if they've never actually experienced this kind of abuse. So, all of that is to say, if we're trying to be heard and understood and expose this individual to people who don't have a clue about this very insidious form of mental, emotional, psychological, and spiritual manipulation and abuse, it's going to be difficult. They aren't likely to believe us, sad and painful and frustrating as that might be. It's the truth, and the sooner you surrender to that reality, the better off you'll be. Now, with all of that said, what I've learned in what is now many decades of experience of navigating through the agony, betrayal, and abandonment that goes along with narcissistic abuse, there is a way to expose these people. And a way that reduces the possibility of our being harmed any more than we already have been. In other words, a way that is less likely to enrage the narcissist and cause you to have to endure all manner of painful and destructive backlash. And keep in mind that narcissists are terrified of exposure. So know in advance that in order to avoid being exposed, they'll go to lengths you and I couldn't even fathom or imagine in order to maintain the false image and persona they've worked so hard to convince others is the truth of who they are. And what I'm about to share with you is, without question, going to feel counterintuitive, but I promise you this, it is, more often than not, going to be your best course of action. So let's dive in. First and foremost, when it comes to exposing someone who lands on the spectrum of destructive narcissism to others, you have to be willing and able to stay calm, cool, collected, and most importantly, above reproach. That's right. Remain above reproach. Now, when you're in the midst of narcissistic abuse, it goes without saying that this isn't going to be easy. I'm not here to tell you there's anything easy about this. And the truth is, some of you actually aren't even going to be able to do what it is that I'm suggesting. But for those of you who can, for those of you who are on a healing and recovery journey, you've been doing your own work, you've fortified yourself, your self-esteem is being built up, you're feeling stronger, calmer, more clear, and confident. Maybe you've removed yourself or distanced yourself from the dynamic to a large degree. You will, if you choose, be able to make the conscious decision to remain calm, cool, and collected, and again, above reproach. And certainly easier said than done, no question, but it can be done. And if you're serious about exposing a destructive narcissist for who they are, it's vital that you start there. And to help you with that, it's also vital that you find a support system. That's right. Find a solid support system for yourself. A close group of friends, a coaching program, a therapist or counselor, but people who specialize in these issues. People who actually get it, so that you have a place to go to vent, to discharge, to process, to up-level, heal, shift, and deal with all of the feelings that you're naturally feeling as a result of having been targeted and abused to the degree that you have, and on so many levels. Once you have that in place, and you're traveling that path, it becomes a whole lot easier to stay calm, cool, and collected, and again, most importantly, above reproach, where the destructive narcissist in your life are concerned, because you have a safe place to go to process all of the toxic emotions and pain that you're grappling with. A safe place to work on your healing and recovery in a healthy way that's actually moving you forward, so that when you're having to deal with or be exposed to the narcissist, you can keep yourself in that place of calm, where you're not giving your power away. You're not giving the narcissist and all of their enabling little minions additional ammunition to use against you. It's a big piece. When we can find a healthier way to discharge, process, and fully deal with our own emotional baggage, we're going to be a whole lot more able to hold on to ourselves and not add fuel to the fire. And when we're able to do that, stay present, stay cool, stay calm and collected, breathe and detach, and let the narcissist do their thing, they are far more likely to expose themselves, and sometimes even in short order. Not least of which by virtue of the fact that they're going to turn up the volume on all the nonsense they bring to the table of the relationship. When they're not getting a reaction out of you, when all of their manipulative ploys and projections aren't landing anywhere because you've got yourself to a place where you're able to hold on to yourself in your own container, your own light, your own strength, and your own power, and you're not handing that over willy-nilly, you hold yourself to that standard above reproach, they will crank up the volume, and as a result, the mask starts to slip. But you have to hold the line for yourself. And when you can do that, anyone worth their salt, anyone who truly matters, anyone who isn't an enabling little minion, again, the people who actually count, should be paying enough attention over time where things are not going to add up or make sense. Never interfere with the narcissist when they're acting out and others may be able to see for themselves. Wow, he or she pretends to be all of these things, or he or she says that you're this or that, and that's not what I'm seeing at all, right? It's a way of turning the tables, so to speak, but in a healthy, dignified, and self-empowered way, in a way where you remain above reproach. So hold on to yourself and stay cool. Next, you want to relinquish the illusion of control. In order to expose a narcissist, you must relinquish the illusion of control. And believe me, it is an illusion. So let that shit go. Stop trying to control what you cannot control. When you finally get to the place of surrendering to the reality of what is, and I don't mean laying down and rolling over and allowing yourself to be further abused and victimized. That's not what I mean. Rather, surrendering to the reality of what you actually have control over versus what you actually do not have control over. Relinquishing the fantasy of having control over other people's perceptions, other people's opinions, as well as outcome, situations, and circumstances. Relinquishing the fantasy of being able to control what a destructive narcissist is or is not going to say, is or is not going to do, and instead pour all of your time, energy, attention, focus, and resources into taking care of yourself. You'll be far better off, and the truth is, people will be far more likely to see what's really going on a whole lot sooner. Why? Because you're hands off, busy, minding your own business, detached, taking care of yourself, doing your own work, not reacting, not playing, just doing you, boo. And don't get me wrong here. Again, this isn't about rolling over and allowing yourself to be steamrolled by a narcissist. Rather, it's about getting out of the way of the train that's coming at you. Sidestep it as often as you can and to the best of your ability, and let that train hit a wall of its own while you're over here in your own lane taking care of yourself. Now, comment below and let me know whether or not you're finding value in this video. Let me know in the comment section below. Also, if you'd like to learn more about the possibility of working with me in one of my coaching programs, there's a link in the description below where you can apply to see if you qualify for a free one-on-one consultation with either myself or a member of my team. Now, this is for you if you're ready and able to invest in yourself and your healing and recovery journey. If you want the pain to stop, you want to find a way out of the fog, confusion, self-doubt, fear, and anxiety brought on by having been exposed to empathy-impaired emotional manipulators who feel entitled to hurt you, and worse yet, blame you for the hurt they cause. If that's you, the link is in the description below this video. Next, have faith in divine timing and outcomes. Now, another piece to using this counterintuitive strategy to expose a narcissist is it absolutely requires an enormous amount of faith, an enormous amount of patience, and an enormous amount of trust in God's timing. Along with the Bible, one of my favorite spiritual texts is A Course in Miracles. And one of my favorite quotes from the Course is, "Those who are certain of the outcome can afford to wait and wait without anxiety." So, if I am certain of an outcome and I can afford to wait and I can afford to wait without anxiety, there's nothing for me to try to control. There's literally nothing for me to fear. And I'll tell you, what I am most certain of is this. Truth has a frequency 1000% more powerful than any lie. Any lie. And whether it is now, in 5 years, in 10 years, on this side of the veil or on the other side of the veil, sooner or later all truth comes to light. All truth will be known. Truth wins. Every time. Again, sooner or later, all truth is known. All truth. And when you have the truth on your side, you can afford to wait, and wait without anxiety. Fear attracts like a magnet, friends. Resting peacefully, however, in the knowledge that you have truth in your corner, that's power, baby. And that frequency alone can change the game in divine time. So the humans who are out there lying and deceiving and manipulating and smearing and all of it, enjoy. You can do all of that you like. What I know for sure is, based on how this universe actually works, the outcome is an absolute. It is certain. All truth will be known. So you aren't fooling anyone. Not for long, anyway. So relinquish the illusion of control and have faith in divine timing and outcomes. The more you do so, the sooner the destructive narcissist will be exposed for who and what they actually are. Again, it's just a question of time. Let them do what they do best. We're talking about destructive narcissists here, right? So what do they do best? They lie, they cheat, they sneak, they exploit, they manipulate, and that's the least of it. Some of them are pedophiles. Some of them enable pedophiles and lie on the devil's behalf while they attend Mass every Sunday. Good luck with that. Sooner or later, anyone who matters, anyone who's worth their salt is going to see it. The bottom line is, the key to exposing someone who lands on the spectrum of destructive narcissism is remaining cool, calm, clear, detached, and taking care of yourself, even if that means removing yourself from the dynamic altogether, assuming you're able to do that. I get not everyone's able to do that, or do that even immediately. Now, one caveat here, clearly if there are vulnerables being targeted or harmed, you have a responsibility to speak your truth and do what you can. We don't stay in our lane while children, seniors, and animals are in jeopardy of being harmed. I think that goes without saying, no? But assuming that is not the case, and insofar as you are concerned, try this strategy on for size and watch your mental and emotional health begin to improve. And fast. Get into a program. Find a counselor or a coach or a therapist or a sponsor. Someone somewhere who gets it, who understands not just the problem, but more importantly, the solution. Someone who understands what it takes to heal and recover and shift and up-level and evolve and ascend out of all of the inverted reality that is narcissistic abuse. So when you're on that path, taking care of you, no matter what's going on with the narcissist and all their bullshit, like I said at the top of the video, you're going to be much more able to stay in your power and not give these sick individuals more ammunition to shoot you with, whatever that takes. And then patience. Trust in God's timing, the God of your own understanding, whoever that is for you. Trust in divine timing. Trust that the divine and karma are going to take care of all of this. It's simply a matter of time. The more you're in there trying to control it, trying to control perceptions, trying to manipulate outcomes, trying to be seen, trying to be heard, trying to be believed and understood, the less that is going to work for you. The more you're over here, calm, cool, collected, loving on you, taking care of you, doing your work, minding your own business, they're going to keep doing what it is that they do. And when you remove yourself, whether, like me, you're no longer the family scapegoat, or you're no longer the target because you're no longer willing to put your hand up and volunteer for that position in anybody's life, they are going to have to find someone else to pick on, to abuse, to scapegoat. And again, anyone who matters, anyone worth their salt, unless they're completely steeped in denial, and for sure lots of people out there are, that's true, but anyone who matters, anyone who is worth their salt is, in my opinion, going to start to see some patterns. They're going to start to see things actually do not add up. They don't make sense. The narcissist's words and behavior don't match. The narcissist's words and reality don't line up. And sure, that might take some time. It could even take a decade or two, but it's inevitable. It will happen. In the meantime, your job is to take care of you, so you can start living your best life in peace, confidence, freedom, and abundance. It's time now. And with that, I'm going to call it a wrap. But before I go, how can Tamie M Coaching help you? 4 ways. Number 1, subscribe to my channel and click that notification bell to make sure you get my new video every Friday. Number 2, watch my free web class by clicking on the link in the description below. You'll learn about my personal journey and professional experience through decades of research specific to healing and recovery from codependency and narcissistic abuse. You'll also learn about some powerful strategies that you can begin to use today. Number 3, if you're not sure where to start, but you want to come and learn from my team and you'd like to be supported by a stellar community of like-minded people who are focused on solutions that actually work, you can learn more about my 8-week transformational coaching program, the Freedom Class, by going to www.tamiemcoaching.com and clicking on programs and reviews for all the details. And number 4, if you want some help right now because you've got a burning issue, you need something solved, you want to break free from painful relationship patterns permanently and actually make lasting progress in your healing and recovery, go to tamiemcoaching.com and click on Apply Now to learn how you can become a client.